Now, so there was a deadly shooting in Midtown Manhattan early this morning, and unfortunately, the CEO of United Healthcare is now dead. Alexis McAdams is on the scene, is just right near Fox News studios. Alexis, what do you know?
Hey, Dana. So this is all still developing. It only happened in the past couple of hours, but I just got off the phone with an NYPD source who tells me that this was not a random attack. Okay, so I'm going to show you where this all happened, setting this up for you right here in Midtown Manhattan. This is also, to lay this out, right, one of the busiest times to be in New York City in the entire year. We have the Rockefeller tree lighting later on tonight, so there's going to be massive crowds, and this is happening just blocks away. So on their left-hand side here, okay, in Midtown Manhattan, you can see the Hilton. Well, that's where I'm told by police sources that the United Healthcare CEO was walking out this morning around 6:45, heading to a very important annual meeting here for the healthcare company when somebody was waiting for him, according to sources outside across the street, and shot him not once, but twice, once in the chest and once in his leg. Okay, so back here we can kind of tell you this is all still developing here on the ground. The NYPD has a lot on their hands, like they always do, but especially right now during the Christmas season, so they're trying to figure out exactly what played out here. We're hearing they're going to hold a press conference here in the next hour or hour and a half, Dana, to try and calm some fears, because when people are watching at home, whether you're in New York City and you live here or you're visiting and you hear that there was a shooting where a man was killed walking outside of a hotel, they want to know, is that suspect still on the loose? Right now, we don't have that information on that suspect specifically or who they're looking for, but I'm told that he had a mask on and gloves, and they believe he was waiting for that healthcare CEO. I'm going to step out of the way again so we can kind of zoom in here as this is all still developing too. On your screen, you can see that police tape and the crime scene there set up. But Dana, you know from walking around here not far from Fox News studios, this is a busy time, right, and a lot of foot traffic. So for this man to come out, Brian Thompson, 50 years old, of that hotel at 6:45 in the morning just off of 6th Avenue and get shot in the chest, you know, a lot of people
Alexis,
are very nervous about what's going to happen next.
Are we, so right, I'm very familiar with that area. So that is also the Hilton residences, right? So, I mean, some questions I think you do not know the answer to, but let me just raise them here. Was he going to a meeting there? Did he have a room there? Was there going to be some sort of a conference there? Is that a place where you could have maybe a breakfast meeting as a business person? You want to get your day started early?
Yeah, so as of right now, what we're hearing is that he was just staying at this hotel. United Healthcare is based out of Minneapolis, or based out of Minnesota, so he was in town for this annual business conference. He was reportedly heading on his way to that conference to try and just have his latest meeting that then United Healthcare did postpone after they found out about this. What they said was a medical emergency in the beginning. So we're trying to figure out exactly what happened, but to know possibly, you know, he was targeted, and then his family and friends at this time still, you know, haven't been notified, I was told by some sources. So they're still trying to work this thing on the ground. But
it's a stunner of a story, and it has all the markings of a hit job. And there was one report from some others who were working that story here in New York that he simply walked through an alleyway or ran through an alleyway and got on a bicycle and got away. Is any of that verifiable now, or is it too early?
So I was told he was on foot. So when we talk about this, like you said, when you're looking at this crime scene, you're setting it up to talk about a hit job. That seems kind of like what it was, because this is where he was, according to these police sources. So you can kind of see over here where the Ziegfeld Theater is. This CEO walks right out of the Hilton there, out of the lobby, and he's shot like within seconds, right, of getting out. So they said he was on foot. And then, you know, in terms of who they're looking for, we don't have a specific description except to tell you that he was wearing a mask and gloves and standing there with a gun. What kind of gun? Was it a handgun? Was it concealed? Did he pull it out? How quick this all happened is still to be, you know, told here. But the police are trying to figure that out. And they might not have a lot to say, they said, too, at that press conference. Right. But they basically just want to, about the investigation, they just want to tell people that they don't think this was a random attack. They wasn't just somebody coming to shoot somebody that was just randomly leaving the lobby. They think they knew who this guy was.
Alexis, thank you. I believe Paul Morrow, Fox News contributor, is with us, former NYPD, of course. Paul, you know this area well. What do you think is happening here?
Obviously, Dana, it looks very much like a targeted attack. It tracks to a lot of sorts of shootings we've had down through the years. I'm thinking of even the infamous hit in front of Sparks Steakhouse, a Midtown execution, for lack of a better term. So obviously there's going to be a tremendous amount of media attention on this, a high-profile figure right now. I can tell you for sure they're canvassing the entire area. They're pulling video. They're looking at subway records to see if there's any video or digital footprint in the subways. Reportedly, the guy fled on foot. There's some other reporting that he might have jumped onto a bicycle, which is difficult. There's been a number of incidents like that down through the years in Manhattan where the perp fled on a bike. That makes you very mobile. You're independent of red lights. You can kind of go anywhere. This will be a tough one. And then the other thing they're going to do, obviously, is look very, very deeply into the victim's history.
Yeah, United Healthcare is a huge company. I'm just looking at some. The consumer base is more than 50 million people, Paul. You know, you're a CEO of a company like this, and you carry a lot of policy. You have a lot of history. We don't know his specific history with United Healthcare, but this is a significant company. The Post is reporting, the New York Post is saying that Thompson was at the hotel at 6:46 a.m., arriving early for a conference. That's when a masked man waiting for him fired at him repeatedly and then fled. And beyond that, there's not a lot of detail.
Yeah, it really seems to indicate, you know, something that was planned and targeted. There's reporting that the perp may have been hanging around in front of the location for some time, which argues that he knew who he was waiting for. He knew that person was going to be there. He must have known, therefore, about the conference. Reportedly, it was an investors conference. So at the same time, again, as they are looking around on the streets and through video, et cetera, they're going to be scraping very hard at his life, getting a hold of his loved ones, family, et cetera, to try to figure out, did he have a dispute? And obviously talking to other people in the company, because as you say, very large company, an insurance company that potentially imports all sorts of motives, but we have to reserve judgment. Because we, you know, right now we just don't know. And of course, that's what the detectives are going to do. They're going to have a very open mind. But they're definitely going to be following, you know, the route of a motive here, because this does look very, very planned. And obviously the shooter had a plan to get away. And
Paul, we'll let you go for a moment. But I do wonder, a CEO at that level, would they have had security of their own? And certainly the conference would have had security. You have a thought on that, Paul?
Yeah, surprising, because if you think about it, had he been getting threats or something like that, he very well might have considered having security. But arriving that early for a conference, looks like his guard was down. There's no report that anybody tried to return fire or get in the way. So it looks like he was taken unawares. Paul Morrow, thank you for jumping on with us this morning. We'll get back to you as needed throughout the day.
We are hearing an 11:30 a.m. press conference on behalf of the NYPD, so that's 90 minutes away, and we'll track that for you when it begins.